The developers just teased a bunch of stuff that's coming into the Halloween patch this week, and we've got some pictures where we can break down a ton of things that they didn't talk about, but were in the screenshots. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and today we're breaking it down for everything you need to know in the Halloween patch that the developers released, and there's a bunch of things that we can take from these pictures that they didn't talk about. Now, first of all, there's a Halloween event, which we, of course, were expecting, but it's a 7,000 gem event for a city skin, baby. Although the developers didn't include a picture of the city theme, they did mention that it is a 5% cavalry defense city theme, so if you're into Cavs, it could be good, depending on what stat you're losing. 7,000 gems, though, to play this event is amazing because you're going to get more than, I guess you'll get about 7,000 gems back and way more than 7,000 gems worth of value from all the rewards you get here. Keep in mind, you're going to have to spend some action points or spend some money, and really it's a lot of action points if you want to get to the highest tiers of this event, which is probably worth doing. If we get a look at the next picture, there is a relics event. This is a map event. You collect the different map pieces. You can even trade map pieces with your alliance members. That's what the get section is. And then you go send a scout to look up the treasure. We've seen this style of event in the past. In fact, I'll have a card up in the top if you want to see exactly how this event works. And the rewards for this are fine. In addition, there's also this style of event that we got for Diao-chan, but it's for a cosmetic and a skill reset item over here. And it's really easy to get that skill reset item. This seems like a win for everybody, and the way that you go and actually obtain this thing is very straightforward. You're just going to be going in and completing very basic things you probably were doing anyways, like rallying barb forts and battling barbarians and doing some gatherings, so that'll give you stars. It's kind of like a bingo board. When you get a row of quests done, you get that star. And so toward the very end, the last couple things you knock out gives you a lot of stars. Also worth noting on the topic of stars, although I really don't care about the epic stars that are in here, right above it, Civ swap token? That's straight value, baby. That is pretty freaking sweet. And on the topic of pretty sweet, the Champions of Olympia changes look pretty fierce. I mean, I have been saying for a while that a rank system would be so important for this game mode, and they made it, which is freaking awesome. What do you need to know about this rank game mode? A couple things. First of all, there are 7 different ranks. There are rewards for being at a different rank at the end of a season. And yes, there are now going to be Champions of Olympia seasons. Now, there are also subdivisions of each of these different tiers of league, or I guess each of these different leagues, right? Which will allow them, I guess, to, have you get some progress as you go when you advance from one league to another. Gives a little bit of precision to the ranking systems. And like, honestly, I feel like what they did here, and I think this is really good, is emulate what a lot of other games of this style or this genre do for rank systems. This makes a ton of sense. In fact, there's some stuff that we should talk about in just a second here that is going to be really relevant for how those rank systems work. In fact, elements of their system reminds me a little bit of Hearthstone, where at the lowest ranks, you can't actually lose rank, which I think is really cool. But at the higher ranks, you can drop down in rank, which, okay, let's talk about this in a second here. So each rank match lasts around 2 months, and at the end of which, all governors' results are tallied. And so there you go, 2-month time frame for the duration here. But you may be wondering, is this like a team ranking? Is it an individual ranking? And it looks like every individual is ranked, but you still queue up as a team. You need to be in a team of 2, 3, or 5 if you're queuing as a team, or you can go solo. I think, obviously, the highest ranked people are all going to be a preform of 5. Like, there's just no way that at the higher end of things that they're not 100% preform team of 5s. And all team members must be within 2 major leagues of one another in order to play together. So you can't, like, carry a noob through this game mode. And when you win a match, you earn stars. And when you lose a match, you lose stars. And this is how you're going to rank up in this system. An extra star is rewarded for 3 or more wins in a row, but once you reach a certain level, you stop getting extra stars. This reminds me a lot of Hearthstone, okay? And no stars are lost in the Enduring, Stone, and Fearless Iron Leagues. Again, reminding me of how Hearthstone did their ladder, which I think is absolutely phenomenal to copy what works well. I think that is a perfectly fine choice for a ranking system within a game, because like, don't reinvent the wheel. Like, this has been done and people put a lot of energy and effort and tested out these systems. So using what feels to me like a system that kind of has been proven to work really well is a really good choice. Now, when it comes to rewards, just participating gives you activity points, even if you lose, which is, again, in my opinion, an A freaking plus. It sucks to be on a losing streak, and if you're on a losing streak, you still can get your legendary commander sculptures, and it's not as much feel bad as it was before, where it's like, I'm grinding this out, and I keep losing because I keep getting sucky teammates because I'm pugging, or my teammates suck because my friends suck, or whatever, whatever your situation is, right? It's a lot less emotionally draining if you're constantly making progress, even if you're losing, which is what they're now doing. You get activity points as you go, and those accumulate toward a reward. In addition, you get some amount of tokens that you use in a shop. Now, this is also pretty cool. So the amount of tokens you get per victory depends on your league, and the amount of tokens you get per week also depends on the league that you're in. The higher the league, the more tokens you get for a win, and the more you can pull down in any one week. At the end of the season, there is going to be a ranked reward, and thank God I took a real sigh of relief when this reward was not some exclusive piece of equipment that was God tier and everybody had to go get, because I think it would have just been very frustrating for a lot of people to try to grind for that. And I don't know. I mean, it would have been an interesting design choice, and I'm glad that I don't feel like I have to grind for this, but I will point out, man, you can stand to gain a lot of gems and a lot of speed ups, okay? Less about like the 10 days of speed ups, although that's worth a lot of gems. 6,000 gems if you were buying those from the VIP shop at a discount. The gold keys, I don't even know why they're in there. If those were crystal keys, that would make a lot more sense to me. And then also, hey, gems. 10,000 gems if you're a champion above rank 1. And I mentioned there were, I think, 3 subdivisions to each rank. So the different subdivisions get different amounts of gems. I took a couple pictures of that as it was being shown here. So here is the shop that we were just talking about. I just want to point out that this is from a test server, and this particular, test account never, I assume it's from a test server, right? But this particular account never actually completed an Olympia match, so they have no rank. But when you reach certain ranks, you can get different things from the shop. And I want to point out, I don't know if they intended to show, there is a Crimson Ring blueprint fragment. You may be wondering, Chisgule, what the heck is a Crimson Ring? Good question. If we make our way over to the blacksmith, you'll see that the Crimson Ring in the accessories section has been here for a very, very, very long time. And it gives commander experience. In short, I don't know who needs it. I guess a new player to the game. By the time you're getting it, you no longer need it anymore. Like, by the time you have this amount of epic bone to commit, maybe the whaliest of ultra whales. So maybe there'll be other ways to get the Crimson Ring, but as of this time, that's the only way. And I will point out, when you tap the origin of the Crimson Ring, it says the Lost Kingdom, but it's not coming from Lost Kingdom. It's going to come from the new champions of Olympia. And I will also point out that this other item, the Bard's Pendant, which gives 5% extra resources from gathering, which a lot of people actually would like to make, especially, I don't know if that would work. Does that work in Ark of Osiris League for gathering to get extra resources from gathering? Does that work for caravans? But anyways, if we just go to this, it probably doesn't work for caravans in Ark League, but let me know in the comments how that actually works. This also says Lost Kingdom. It may not come from the Lost Kingdom. It doesn't come from Lost Kingdom currently, so this also is not in the game, the Bard's Pendant, but there's more. There's more equipment coming too. Let me get to the next screenshot. Here is a screen showing your Champions of Olympia profile. You can see they haven't ever queued, so they don't have a current league or a highest league listed. Your preferred commanders are listed. Your win rate and matches are all listed. And also, I guess the number of times people like you in that end screen showing the final results, that looks like it's in here as well. And there's a wall of medals. So how many times you get those medals at the end of a match would show up on here, which is, all of this I think is pretty cool. But other cosmetics to the game, Ceroli Crisis is looking really good. Would I have said that this needed a change to the look and feel? No. Is this where I would have put my energy? No. But if the developers are putting energy into this, it makes me wonder, what else might they be doing this for? What else are they preparing us for? Is this just a stepping stone towards some other upgrade to the way that this works? And I think the answer is almost certainly yes. I bet you that they will do more with Ceroli Crisis. And the only reason they would do development on this screen is if they intend to do more things here later. So I think this is just a stepping stone for what may come next. That could be more bosses in this particular screen. It could be set up for Ian's Ballads to have a look where you're going on like a journey, right? And the different maps and you fight in the different maps. I'm just suggesting some possibilities here. And the new look and feel of the rewards I think is pretty cool. I also will attest, as I said in my video about how to save Rise of Kingdoms. And I mean, it's a $1 billion game, not that it exactly needs saving, but card up in the top if you want to see my video where I said, you know what I think they should do with Ceroli is have a extra tier of difficulty or equivalent, where if you beat this one boss at the highest, like above the highest tier of difficulty, you get all the rewards for everything. Just remove some of the repetitive grind from some of these events. But if you want to see why that logic makes sense, check out that video. And they're adding more rewards to the egg event. They're adding more rewards to the dig event. It's just giving you options now. And I think this also makes a lot of sense because there were a bunch of people who said, I have hammers, I have gems, I don't want what you're giving me as an option. Well, now way more legendary equipment appears at the occult treasure floors. And that includes some of the meta equipment that people have been really hunting for, okay? So we're talking about the health cavalry gloves, which are in the upper left of the screenshot. We're talking about Hope Cloak and more. This, I think, is a really great change, giving more players more options and removing the scarcity of some of the items that were there in favor of optionality for players to pick what they actually want when the event comes around. They also briefly showed on the screen this stat section for the drop rate for the Holy Knight's Treasure. I will point out that I keep track of the drop rate for Holy Knight's Treasure in a separate tool that's linked actually in all of my videos, my ROK toolkit, bit.ly/ROK toolkit, and ROK and T all need to be capitalized. Anyways, you want to see the history of what the drop rates were for this event, it's in there. And I will point out that they also are giving more reward possibilities in the Holy Knight's Treasure, just like they did over here, which is all upside, right? It's just weird when the egg event comes around and it's like, I want to do it. I don't like the ultimate reward options. I'm not going to do it. I'll wait another month, I guess, or however long it is, right? And this is probably the thing you've been waiting for me to talk about. New legendary equipment shown in the video. I don't know where this legendary equipment will come from. But what I can tell you, first of all, is that it was being used unintentionally. This was intended to just show that a refined menu exists in the blacksmith now, which is in the upper center of the screenshot. And if we look at this item and dissect it for a moment, the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that these are equipment level 40. Well, wait a minute. The legendaries that we have today are level 45. And this is very important because look at the stats here. Archer defense, 6.5% on a legendary is actually really bad. And the reason that's really bad is that once you make it, you can never go back and dismantle it without losing materials. And what's more is that this particular piece is in the same slot. This is, I think, wait, Udur's legs? Those are legs? Those are boots. Those must be boots. Let's just assume, okay, it says equipment slot boots. Just a weird name. Okay, that was weird for a second. These boots, currently your option is 5.5% health. In fact, heck, let me just show it to you. This is what you would make today at the epic tier. And 5.5% health, you'd say, well, Chisgule, that's less than the 6.5% defense, but you can dismantle this. And if you talent it, it's now 7.5% health, which is higher than the legendary, and you can't dismantle that without losing half your materials, which would absolutely suck. So I think if they're adding level 40 legendaries, I actually just don't think that makes sense at all. I would not add level 40 legendaries. I don't know what role it plays other than like if you want to be like really hounding refines, and then you can never destroy those items. And if it's always not as good compared to other legendaries that are always in the game, aka, like, wouldn't you probably rather have the full archer set bonus, right? And you may be saying, Chisgule, but there were 5 pieces of equipment in that picture, right? I want to show you that if those were in a set, you would see set effects, of which in the screenshot, there's no set effects here. So these are not a set. And you can see, by the way, there's those 5 items off to the side in the upper left, all next to each other. Those are all the new items that are just not in game, okay? So this is not an amazing looking piece of equipment. So I don't think we need to get all worked up about it. And you can tell this is probably this had better be a test server because they have 9.9 billion gold. 9.9 billion gold. Anyways, I'd like to have that kind of gold, which I don't have, but I guess you could have that in a regular server. You'd just be a madman, an absolute crazy person. And the thing I want to mention here is that people were saying, but Chisgule, look at the cost to make this. 10 legendary materials. That is cheap, bro. And if it was 10 legendary materials, we could have a conversation about whether or not it would be worth making. But remember, you're looking at the refined screen right now. Okay, so the actual cost is 3 times as high. It's 30 legendary materials. So I'm still going to suggest that the legendary archer set is way better than what you see in this picture. So I think maybe part of the reason that these items don't exist in the game is that I don't know how much sense they make to release in their current state. Maybe there's something I'm missing, and if there is something I'm missing, please do let me know down below in the comments. Even if the pattern was easy to get, I feel like would never make these compared to your other options because they're just not that much cheaper than the Archer Legendary set, you know? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's a world in which somebody would make this item. And by the way, we assume that because this item is for archers, the other ones are for archers? Maybe. I actually don't think that's a safe assumption. They're not a set. Who knows? The other pieces could be good. If they have health in a slot where health is not currently, they could maybe be interesting. Maybe. Maybe. But it all depends on how they fit into the broader context of the equipment that's already in the game. The last thing that they had here that I think is cool looking is a way of seeing the difference in the units between civilizations. And the only reason you would make something like this, unless you were just like bored and wanted something else to do, would be if you're going to do something else with civilization swapping, right? Like, I don't know why this would be a good invest of development hours. And I'm not trying to be judgy, okay? I'm not trying to be judgy. I'm just trying to predict the future, okay? So assuming that they feel like they're making a really good investment with their development time into things that will have future utility in the game, I don't know why you would make this screen unless like there's some really compelling thing you're going to do in the future with civilizations and the differences between them. That is my only guess. Because otherwise, like, I would rather developers work on something else rather than this particular screen, which like helps us understand very minor differences between the units and these civilizations. Like, as someone who like used to work on mobile apps in the past, which, I mean, yes, that's what I, have spent a lot of time doing. I would really prioritize things that are getting new gamers and keeping the gamers we have happy. And this wouldn't have made the top of my list. Fort Finder. All in all, I'm really hyped for this update. And if you want to see my full breakdown where I go line by line on the patch notes, I'll have a card up in the top for that video reviewing everything that's on its way. And it's entirely possible that if we are getting new commanders to the game anytime soon, that they might be in this patch. So subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see the breakdown of the newest commanders that'll be in the Season of Conquest as soon as they land, if they are in fact on the way. And we're about due for some new commanders. Until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies.